So now that we've got much more reveal about the Dark Ages, I'm curious what you guys think about all this very different stuff. It would be stupid not to acknowledge that this game's look and feel is far more different than any other Doom game we've had. I guess the closest we have now would be Doom 64 in terms of its colors, Hell's Castles, and medieval environments. But even then, it's still a massive shift. I have some points I'm uncertain about, stuff that doesn't exactly scream Doom to me. Now, nothing of all we say is set in stone. Everything we've seen so far was handpicked by the devs, and it's probably from an older build of the unfinished game. Plus, let's be real, watching footage and actually playing a game are two very different things. So, with that in mind, here's my anxiety dump about the upcoming Quake, the Dark Ages.
Your gauntleted fists. And if that wasn't enough, we also have for you your very own fire-breathing, Gatling gun-toting cybernetic dragon.
I don't know. I'm really looking forward to the big Titan stuff, but yeah. My main problem is that Atlan's fit with Doom. They're big, bulky, destructive, and have that punch-you-in-the-face chemistry. But a dragon? It feels weird. We didn't get to see much, but I still have this weird feeling like it just doesn't fit. It's the same vibe I got when it was first revealed in the trailer, and it hasn't gone away. Okay, that was cool as f***. Doom's story and lore were never really front and center. Doom 3 had a super straightforward narrative, but with the PDAs you could dig into the backstory and piece together what happened on the planet before the invasion. Doom 2016. It was simple but effective, with a bit of extra flavor added around Hell and Argent Energy, which worked pretty well. Then Eternal came along, and it felt like they handed the story off to a kid without medication. It was all over the place. And the classic Doom games? Well, as Daddy Carmack famously said, video games are like porn. The bloodier, the better. What the fuck? Now they're saying codex entries are being removed, and everything will be baked into the game itself. I don't know how I feel about that. I guess they're putting more effort into making it cohesive, so it won't feel like a jumble of lore shoved in your face, but still, I'm nervous. I hope they're not going for a blockbuster-style story where it's all explosions and epic drama.
It's a summer blockbuster event with everything on the line.
Shit. Okay, that's a big one. Remember when Doom was all about the UAC base on Phobos being invaded by Hell? Control rooms, tight corridors, Hell slowly creeping in, and the remnants of a horror that consumed the entire planet. And it was just you, alone, fighting to survive? But seriously, Doom has been pushed into all kinds of extremes over the past 30 years. The classic games had a good mix of tight spaces and open areas. Doom 64 went back to a more claustrophobic feel, and Doom 3 took that to the extreme. Almost everything felt cramped. Then, Doom 2016. Chef's kiss. A perfect balance of open spaces, tight corridors, and arenas. It just felt right. But Eternal? It started with a good mix, but eventually turned into arena after arena after arena. They should have just called it Doom Arenas, like Quake. Oh, Martin, you son of a... And now we have this. Well, they definitely don't look like small arenas, that's for sure, but everything is just so fucking open. Look, open, 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 kind of open, open again, closed, open, open. Almost all the footage they showed was from big outdoor areas or really wide spaces. I don't know. Don't you miss the tight, claustrophobic corridors? The kind of rooms where you feel like your creepy uncle is lurking in the shadows waiting to corner you? People who got into Doom with Eternal might not care as much, but for me, Doom was always about close quarters combat in tight bases, where the bigger areas meant a fuck ton of enemies was about to spawn, and arenas were usually saved for boss fights. I'm guessing the dungeons they mentioned will bring back some of that tighter level design, but it looked like it will be more focused on puzzle than combat. Now, while Dark Ages looks wide and sprawling, is it actually open world? I don't think so. If it were, they would have made that crystal clear in the video. Instead, they said,
explore what is the largest play space ever in a Doom game.
Interesting. So is that spaceship thing gonna be your hub? Where you pick missions and get dropped into the field? They did mention in the trailer that this is just one of many missions, starting at the walls, then heading out, exploring at your own pace. So, Are all the missions gonna be that expansive? Or is it just this one? Maybe the others follow a more linear path. I was thinking maybe they're going for something like Metro Exodus. Not fully open world, but with bigger maps where you can either stick to the main story or take your time exploring. It's different, for sure. Now, let's talk about the medieval setting. I wasn't a huge fan of the medieval levels in Eternal. They weren't bad looking, but they felt completely out of place compared to what Doom traditionally is. For a Quake game, absolutely. Medieval look up the ass. But for Doom, it's unusual. The tone of the last DLC didn't help either. It had this strange superhero movie feeling.
Assemble.
Before Eternal, anything medieval was always tied to hell. It was dark, fiery, and menacing. Now, it feels like we're stepping straight into Vermintide. Don't get me wrong, the darker atmosphere here looks awesome. But those big open battlefields, especially some of them being in broad daylight, just feel kind of off. And for the first time in a Doom game, it looks like there won't be any UAC settings at all. That's a tough pill to swallow. The UAC is such a big part of what makes Doom, well, Doom, that it's hard to imagine a game without it. I mean, technically, the UAC is still around in the timeline this game's set in, but I have no idea how they'd work it into the story. Now we've got this Lord of the Rings setting, with armies clashing, and you're controlling a godlike Viking with a How to Train Your Dragon pet and a Captain America shield. It's, yeah, I don't know. Man, that's a tough one. I get that sometimes, like in 2016, it felt like you were almost spamming the key and just doing glory kills over and over again, but it was fun and satisfying. Now, we did kind of see one during the footage, but it might have just been part of a cutscene. Other than that, that's all we got. I'm guessing all bosses will still get some sort of finishing glory kill animation, but it's just that it was fun to have those crazy skull bashing and chainsaw tearing gory animations, but as they said, making them faster and more direct will make the gameplay smoother and more fluid. So yes, I'll miss them, but I'm sure I'll quickly forget about it once I'm in the action. For the rest, I can't wait. Of course, we'll have to play and see for ourselves, especially since this footage was almost certainly taken from a game still in development. So, what about you? Got any worries? Anything you've seen so far that makes you think, how the hell is this in a Doom game? Wait, where's the fucking BFG?